Here we will discuss construction of root locus. Okay, so first we will take a simple example to understand the construction of root locus. Okay, so s into s plus 1 into s plus 5 plus k into s plus 3 is equal to 0. Okay, so this is the given characteristic equation and we have to find out the root locus for this. Okay, so we have one parameter here, k. Okay, now the first step here, step 1, what is the standard form of the characteristic equation for root locus? 1 plus k into g1 of s into h1 of s is equal to 0. Okay, so this characteristic equation we have to get into this form. For this, what do? We divide this entire equation by all the terms that are not containing k. That are not containing the constant k. Okay, so that will be dividing by s into s plus 1 into s plus 5. Okay, so if you divide the whole equation by s into s plus 1 into s plus 5, you will get 1 plus k into s plus 3 by s into s plus 1 into s plus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, so now if you compare with the standard equation, we get g1 of s into h1 of s is equal to s plus 3 into s into divided by s into s plus 1 into s plus 5. Okay, now we identify the zeros and poles of g1 of s into h1 of s. Okay, what are the zeros? Minus 3, we have only one 0 here. And what are the poles here? 0, minus 1 and minus 5. These are the poles. Okay, so this is step 1. We have to identify the zeros and poles of g1 of s into h1 of s. Okay, the second step, once we've identified the zeros and poles, we will take the s-plane. So sigma and j omega, this is the s-plane. Here we will plot the poles and zeros that we have got. Okay, so what is the zero? Zeros we will mark by a 0 and pole we will mark by a cross. Okay, so here we have a 0 at minus 3. This is minus 3, 0. Okay, and we have a pole at 0. We have a pole at minus 1 and we have a pole at minus 5. Okay, this is step 2. We plot the open loop poles and zeros. The next step is to plot the root locus that is lying on the real axis. Okay, root locus that is lying on the real axis. Okay, so in order to do this, first we have to understand a few things. Okay, the first one is to understand what is the value of k at the zeros and poles. Right, so by the condition of magnitude, we know that mod g1 of s into h1 of s is equal to 1 by mod k. Since k is positive here, we don't have to consider mod k, we can simply write 1 by k. Okay, because k is already positive. We are constructing only for values where k is positive. Right. Now what will happen at poles? At poles, the magnitude of g1 of s h1 s is infinite. That is the definition of a pole. Right. When g1 of s h1 of s is infinite, 1 by k is infinite and k will be 0. Right. And similarly, if you consider the zeros, at the zeros, g1 of s h1 of s magnitude will be 0. Okay, so 1 by k is 0 means that k is infinite. Okay, so these are the 2 points that you have to remember. At poles, the value of k is 0 and at zeros, the value of k is infinite. Okay, now you have to plot the root locus that is lying on the real axis. Okay, So for this, what you do is, you have to take all the points on the root locus to the right of which there is odd number of poles and zeros. Okay, so we will make this more clear. So if you consider some point between -1 and 0, okay, and if you take any point to the right of that point, you have one pole at 0. Okay, so 1 is odd number, so this point will lie on the root locus. Similarly, any point that you take between -1 and 0, they will have one pole to the right of it, to its right. Okay, so this entire region between -1 and 0, we will take as the root locus. Okay, similarly, between -3 and -1, if you take, okay, any point between -1 and -3, okay, then what will happen? To the right of it, you will have two poles. 2 is an even number, so it will not lie on the root locus. This point will not lie on the root locus. Now if you take any point between -3 and -5, okay, so to the right of which you have 1 0 and 2 poles, so totally 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 is an odd number, so this point will lie on the root locus. Similarly, any point that you take, it will between -3 and -5, it will have odd number of poles plus zeros lying to its right. Okay, so here also you will have the root locus. Okay, now beyond -5, if you take any point that is beyond -5, for that there will be one pole at -5, 1 0 at -3, and 2 poles here. Okay, so 3 poles and 1 0, that is 4. It is an even number, so any point beyond -5 will not lie on the root locus. Okay, now we have drawn the root locus that is lying on the real axis only. Okay, so on the real axis, one more thing that you have to understand here is the direction. Okay, the direction of the root locus. So from k is equal to 0 to infinity will be the direction. That means the root locus will start at pole and it will end at 0. Okay, so between 0 and -1 here, we have 2 poles. Okay, that means they are starting from there. Okay, so we can see that there is no end point there. Okay, so since the root locus still it is left to be constructed, we will see how this will turn out. Okay, but between -5 and -3, you have one pole and 1 0. The root locus is starting from the pole and is ending at -3. Okay, so there is one branch. This is one complete branch. There is a start point and an end point. There is one branch from s is equal to -5 to -3. Okay, so what is meant by a branch? It is one complete portion of the root locus where the k is varying from 0 to infinity. Okay, the root locus between -1 and 0, it is not a complete branch because we have not yet found out what is the end point. Right? We will redraw the whatever root locus we have drawn till now. This is the S-plane. Right? Here we had one pole at 0, one pole at -1, 1 0 at -3, and one pole at -5. Okay, and where was the root locus lying on the real axis? It is lying in between this portion and between this portion. Okay, and here we have a branch from -5 to -3. From 0, between 0 and -1, the root locus is just starting. We have to find out the end point now. Okay, now one question that you might get here is, what will be the number of branches? Okay, so we know that this is a third order characteristic equation that we have taken, right? So it is a third order characteristic equation. How many roots will be there for a third order polynomial? There will be 3 roots, right? So for each value of k, we will get 3 different roots. And as k varies from 0 to infinity, these 3 roots, they will trace some path on the S-plane. That is what that trajectory is, what is the root locus. Okay, so that means that there are 3 roots tracing 3 different paths. Okay, that means we have 3 branches of the root locus. That means the number of branches will equal the number of roots of the characteristic equation, which is nothing but the order of the characteristic equation. Okay, so here we have got one branch from -5 to -3. This is branch 1. Okay, we need to find 2 more branches. Okay, 2 more branches are left out to be drawn. Another question that you might get is, why should we take the root locus on the real axis? Only those points to the right of which there are odd number of poles and zeros. Okay, so this will depend on the condition of magnitude as well as angle. Magnitude and angle. So we will not go into the proof of this, okay, because it is not asked in any exam. But if you still want to know the proof, it is available in the book. You can check that out. Okay. The next step, step 4, we will deal with the asymptotes. Okay. So what are asymptotes? Some of the branches of the root loci, they may tend to infinity. Okay. They may have infinite values. Okay. And these asymptotes are the straight lines which the root locus will follow in case they are tending to infinite. Okay. So when will this case arise? When the number of poles is not equal to the number of zeros. Okay. So here in this characteristic equation, we had 1 0. Okay, 1 0 at -3 and 3 poles at 0, -1 and -5. So these are not equal. The number of zeros is not equal to the number of poles. So some of the branches will tend to infinity. Okay. So we have to find out the asymptotes first. Okay. Then we can draw the root locus. Okay. Now when you're drawing the asymptotes, you have to first find out how many asymptotes are there. The number of asymptotes. Okay. So in this case, it will be 2. Okay, basically it is the difference between the number of poles and number of zeros. Okay, so here 3 minus 1 is equal to 2. This will be the number of asymptotes. Okay, so here you can take n to be the number of poles and m to be the number of zeros. So number of asymptotes is given by the difference between number of poles and zeros, that is mod of n minus m. Okay, so this is the number of asymptotes. The second step is, where do these asymptotes meet or intersect the real axis? Intersection of real axis. This point is called as the centroid. This you will get as the sum of the real parts of poles minus sum of the real parts of zeros divided by n minus m. Okay, so why did we take real parts only here is that the imaginary parts will anyways be cancelled. Okay, so we will only consider the real parts. You can also take this equation as the sum of poles minus sum of zeros by n minus m. Okay, it will not make any difference. So here we have only real poles and zeros. We do not have any imaginary part of the roots. Okay, so here you have the sum of poles will be 0 minus 1 minus 5. Okay, so 0 plus minus 1 plus minus 5 minus of the sum of zeros. Okay, what is the 0? It is minus 3 divided by mod of n minus m, that is 2. Okay, so this you will get as minus 3 by 2. This, what is this point? This is the value of x where the centroids will intersect. So basically the centroid is given by minus 3 by 2 comma 0 for this example. Okay, so this formula will give the x coordinate of the point where the where the asymptotes will meet the real axis. Now we have two asymptotes, and these two asymptotes, they meet at the centroid. The next question is, what is the angle of these asymptotes? Okay, so this angle is given by phi a is equal to 2i plus 1 divided by mod of n minus m into 180 degrees. Okay, so this is the angle of asymptotes. What is I here? I will vary from 0 to mod of n minus m minus 1. Okay, that is 0, 1, 2 and so on till mod of n minus m minus 1. Okay, so for this example that we took here, mod n minus m is 2. Okay, so mod n minus m minus 1 will be 1. So I will be 0 and 1. Okay, it has only two values. So phi a when I is equal to 0 is 180 by 2, which is 90 degrees. Okay, and when I is equal to 1, this will be equal to 3 pi by 2. Okay, that is 270 degrees, or you can say minus 90 degrees. Okay, so now you have the number of asymptotes, the intersection with the real axis, that is the centroid, and the angle of asymptotes. So there are two asymptotes which are meeting at minus 3 by 2. Okay, so minus 3 by 2 will be here somewhere. Okay, this is minus 3 by 2, and one angle will be at 90 degrees. One asymptote will be at 90 degrees and another asymptote will be at minus 90 degrees. This is 90 degrees and another asymptote will be at minus 90 degrees. So for the given example, we have identified the poles first, poles and zeros first. 0, minus 1 and minus 3 we have a 0, and minus 5 we have a pole. Okay, and after identifying and plotting the poles and zeros, we have found out the region of the root locus which lies on the real axis, right? So that is this and this. Okay, and we have also seen the branches, the direction of the branches. Here minus 5 to minus 3 will be one branch, and from minus 1 we have one extending, and from 0 we have another branch starting. Okay, and we have also drawn an asymptote. Okay, we have drawn two asymptotes. One is at 90 degrees and one is minus 90 degrees, and this point is the centroid, which is minus 3 by 2 comma 0. The next step is to deal with the breakaway points. Okay, so firstly, what is breakaway point? It is those points on the root locus which correspond to the repeated roots. Okay, that is multiple order roots. Okay, how do we find the breakaway points? We have to differentiate k with respect to s, and you have to equate to 0. Okay, this is how you will get the breakaway points. So what is k here? Do not consider that it is a constant. Okay, we are constructing the root locus for different values of k, right? So we can differentiate k with respect to s. So how do we do that? We know that 1 plus k g1 of s into h1 of s is equal to 0. So k is equal to minus 1 by g1 h1. Okay, so basically what you're doing here, you are differentiating minus 1 by g1 h1 with respect to s. Okay, g1 of s and h1 into h1 of s is s plus 3 by s into s plus 1 into s plus 5. So here we have to differentiate d by ds of minus s into s plus 1 into s plus 5 divided by s plus 3, and this we have to equate to 0. Okay, so when you do this, you will get the values of s as s is equal to minus 0.522 and minus 3.4 plus or minus j1.47. Okay. Now once you get these values of s, the next step that you have to do is find out which of these points lies on the root locus. Check which point lies on the root locus. So how do you check this? Okay, so this is simple. We know that k is equal to minus 1 by g1 h1. Okay, so if you substitute these values of s in g1 and h1, okay, and you find out minus 1 by g1 h1, okay, then that value should come out to be a real value. Why? Because k is a real value. So minus 1 by g1 h1 should be a real value. If you are substituting a value of s and you're getting a complex value, then that will not lie on the root locus. So if you substitute each of these points minus 0.522 and minus 3.4 plus or minus j1.47, you will see that only this value will give a real value of minus 1 by g1 h1. Okay. So this is the long method. The easier way, instead of substituting all the values of s and checking whether g1 h1 is minus 1 by g1 h1 is real or imaginary, the easiest method is that the breakaway point, it will always lie between consecutive poles or zeros. Okay, so if you see the 0 and minus 1 here, these are adjacent poles, right? So when there is adjacent poles with no other 0 in between, then a breakaway point should lie between these two poles. Even if there are two adjacent zeros, in that case also there will be a breakaway point. Okay, so here between 0 and minus 1, only this value minus 0.522 is satisfying. So this is the required breakaway point. Okay, so we will mark the breakaway point here. Okay, so this is minus 0.522 comma 0. Now the question is, what will happen at the breakaway point? Okay, so we saw that the root locus, they are coming from the two poles, okay, and there is no end point. At the breakaway point, they will divide into different branches. Okay, the two root locus branches that are coming from minus 1 and minus 1 and 0, they will break away. They will divide into different branches at the breakaway point. Okay, so how many branches will they divide into? In this case, it will be two branches, because we have one branch coming from minus 1 and we have one branch coming from 0. So it should be equal number of branches that are going away from the breakaway point. Okay, so we have two number of branches that are going away from the breakaway point. Okay, now this is the breakaway point that we have discussed. We also have to discuss what is the angle at which the root locus branches will depart, okay, or arrive at the breakaway point. Angle at which they break away. Okay, so this is given by 180 degrees by x. X here is the number of branches that are arriving or departing or breaking away. Okay, so here you have two branches. So 180 by 2 is the angle at which they are breaking away, which is 90 degrees. Okay, so at the breakaway point, the root locus will be at 90 degrees. And how will these root locus, where will they follow? They will now follow the asymptotes. Okay, so they are breaking away at 90 degrees and then they are following the asymptotes. Okay, so they will follow the asymptotes like this. So finally, we can draw the root locus. We have one pole, here one pole at minus 1, 1 0 here, and one pole at minus 5. Okay, and we have one root locus branch from minus 5 to minus 3. Okay, and we will have two more branches, one from minus 1, one from 0. They will break away at a point minus 0.522, okay, and the asymptotes which are lying like this, okay, so they are intersecting at -3/2, 0, and they have angle 90 degrees and -90 degrees. So from the breakaway point, this is the breakaway point, -0.522, 0, okay. From here the root locus, they are going at 90 degrees and they are reaching the asymptotes, okay. So we have one branch starting from -1, okay, and one branch is going away like this. S is tending to infinity here. Here also S is tending to infinity, okay. So we have two starting points from -1 and 0, and we have two end points. One is tending away like this to the upper j omega axis and one point to the negative j omega axis, okay. So we have two start points and two end points, so we have two branches here, okay. So here we have two branches and here we have one branch, so totally we have three branches. So for the equation that we took, S into S plus 1 into S plus 5 plus K into S plus 3 is equal to 0. For this characteristic equation, we got the root locus like this, okay. So one thing that you can remember, that you can understand from this root locus, is that the root locus is symmetric about the real axis, okay. So why is it symmetric about the real axis? Because whatever roots they are occurring either on the real axis or they are occurring in conjugate poles. That means if you have one pole here, then another pole its conjugate should be present here, okay. So wherever you take a pole, just at the opposite side of the real axis we have its conjugate, okay. This is why the root locus is symmetric about the real axis, okay. Now these are the construction steps for a simple root locus, okay. So we have more complex root locus which involve the angle of departure, arrival, okay, at a pole or 0, and we also have intersection with the j omega axis, okay. So we will discuss that in the next video.